to the Medical Device Talent Show. I'm your host, Mike Adamo. I've been a recruiting leader for almost 17 years. I've hired thousands of people, from vice presidents to new college graduates. The purpose of this show is to help you with your career. We're going to talk about what recruiters do. I cover some of this in my book, now available on Amazon and creeping up in the Kindle bestseller list. The first thing to understand is that recruiters can't help most people. Many people assume that recruiters are here to help them, and that's just not the case. The truth is that companies pay recruiters, not candidates. Candidates are not the client. Companies are the client. Companies have specific things that they're looking for, and that's what they're going to pay a recruiter to hire for. So that means companies drive the recruiter's priorities. Let's explore the different types of recruiters. For many of us, recruiter is a recruiter. That's just far from accurate. It's like saying a car is a car. A BMW, Mercedes, or Hyundai are different, right? So recruiters are right, and they have different strengths and weaknesses, and you need the right recruiter for where you are in your career. There are 4 basic categories of recruiter, and each can be identified by a quick look at their website and maybe a few basic educated questions. But being a smart consumer is the first step to really working well with recruiters. The first type we're going to talk about is staffing firms, also known as employment agencies, temporary staffing agencies, or employment agency counselors. This business is the least expensive for companies. It's typically focused on full-time placement or temporary placement, low to medium value positions, companies that are hiring multiple positions, temps. As previously mentioned, their focus is on administrative jobs, manufacturing, warehouse workers, some IT, as well as some finance and accounting firms will work like this as well. But think high volume, kind of a low level of service, and they're just low margin trying to push it through. Companies tend to use these folks because they're inexpensive, and probably because their focus on high quality talent isn't as great. What's similar about all these models is they charge low fees and they have massive volume. They take it to a commodity approach to recruitment, and the quality of service to the companies and the candidates is low. What they do is drive much of what people dislike about this industry. They tend to hire low-level, pushy recruiters who likely aren't that educated in a specific market, and they don't really have a lot of information. They tend not to be focused on a function or industry, and honestly, you get treated like cattle. Sometimes there are ethically questionable behaviors in this niche as well, although recruiters and lawyers are probably all parts of recruiting. So if you're a recruiting lawyer, you're probably the worst. My next category is my favorite because, as I've said, I've spent half my career in recruiting and half my career in corporate recruiting or headhunting and corporate recruiting. And so executive recruiting or middle management search or contingency search is where I've spent about half the time. This business is primarily focused on middle management. Most of these recruiters are specialized in a function or an industry, and the majority of hires for this part of the industry tend to be individual contributors with 5 to 20 years of experience in a specific niche, very specialized people. This section of the industry has the most variability of recruiters. Despite what you think, it's really hard to be a recruiter. In fact, 90% of people get into contingency search fail in the first 18 months. So you can get some really desperate people that are failing and aren't really that good to work with. So beware of those people in their first 18 months. You can also find some really great recruiters in this niche who have been doing it for 5, 10, 15 years, and they know so much and can help you to drive your career. They're really rainmakers or deal makers, and these people can have a huge impact in your career. And so I'm here to help you identify the good ones and avoid the bad ones. The next category of recruiters is retained search. This tends to be referred to as executive recruiting or retained search. It's focused on senior level executives. This is the highest cost to companies. Firms in this space are companies like Korn Ferry, Russell Reynolds, Heidrick and Struggles, and Spencer Stewart. There are also some boutique firms that focus exclusively on retained search. These recruiters are focused on executive roles, VP, CEO, CFO, CIO. So if your title starts with a C, this might be a good avenue for you. But in general, they work with very few companies. They're very focused. And so if they have something for you, they're going to help you. If not, you're going to end up being a database candidate, and they'll likely, may not call you about anything else. Like I said, their ability to help you is extremely limited unless you fit the specific job that they're working on. So let's talk about the last type. And so I've spent time as 2 of the 4 of these types. This is the other type that I've been as a corporate recruiter. And I've led a corporate recruiting function for one of the fastest growing companies in the U.S. They tend to be called talent acquisition, contract recruiters, or just recruiters, right? And they're paid a salary or an hourly rate. They're usually not paid commission. But the differentiator here is they're employed by one individual company, and they help that company to fill jobs. Their ability to help you is somewhat limited unless you want to work for the company they work for. Unlike contingency recruiters that work in a market and can kind of see the whole playing field and potentially guide you in why you would take a job and how it would impact your career. These folks tend to be fairly new in the industry. I would say, maybe, again, kind of 12 to 18 months average tenure. So they can't really see down the road for you. And, unless you want to be in the company that they're working at, it's limited ability to help you. So, there's some great hardworking people, and I run a great team. But when you think about it from a candidate perspective, sometimes it's pretty limited. You're better off going to the managers. So let's talk about the key to productive relationships with recruiters. The key is to find a recruiter who fits the following criteria. You fit their specific niche, you have good chemistry and rapport, and that you work well together. It's also recognized when a recruiter cannot help you, and when to take networking process into your own hands, when to take the networking process into your own hands. So how do you find good recruiters? The first place to look is for referrals. There are people in your niche and function and company that know the great recruiters, and if a recruiter isn't well known and well networked, then they're not a great recruiter. So ask your friends. The next step is to interview that recruiter, because even though they might be well networked, they might not work for you. After all, if you're a professional that's marketable, you have choices, and this person's going to be representing you, so their style should fit for you, and this is someone you should feel comfortable working with. So I'm going to give you a short list of questions to ask a recruiter, and here they go. What is your area of expertise? How long have you been in the business? How long have you been in this function and with the current company you work for? Tell me about your career. What have you done? What is your engagement model with clients? Do you work contingency or retained? How do you like to work with candidates? What's your recruitment philosophy? Who are your major clients? And what's the best way for us to work together? And finally, does my background and profile fit with the type of people you place? You can even ask them to give an example of someone they placed recently. Pick the kind of person that represents your style. So there are many recruiters out there, so don't settle. Do not become a candidate who sends your resume to every recruiter. Doing this only damages your own brand, and you lose control of your own job search. It's really important to know each and every place your resume has been sent. There is nothing more of a turnoff to really good recruiters than to talk to a candidate that they think they have good chemistry with, to send them out to one of their good clients, only to be embarrassed by the fact that some cruddy recruiter has sent their resume there, or the person applied online, they didn't tell them. So, you need to be honest and know where your resume went. Speaking of which, I got 4 rules for you. Don't assume the recruiter is working for you. Be honest. Know where your resume is going and has been, and be available for that recruiter. Don't make them call you at 6 or 7 at night unless they volunteer it. Remember, the best recruiters have great relationships in the industry you work in. They know a lot of people, so don't piss them off. They're very busy, and they don't have time for people who are difficult to work with. So don't get a reputation as someone who's difficult to work with. There are no hard and fast rules, but generally, if you're employed in specific function and industry, in a role that has market demand, with marketable skills for a minimum of, let's say, 3 or 4 years, a recruiter might be able to help you. If you ask a good recruiter, they're going to tell you if they can help you, because you'll likely get an honest response from them. It may sound counterintuitive, but when you're unemployed, most recruiters have limited ability to help you, because the pace at which you need to find a job is typically faster than they work, because they're working a network, and that takes some time. There are 4 types of candidates that recruiters will see you as. They'll see you as either a can't help person, a maybe in the future, like a database candidate, somebody who fits a current open they can send out for an interview now, or somebody that they don't have a current opening for but is highly marketable. So when you speak to a recruiter, you should ask where you fit in their business. I mean, have them see if they're straight with you. The bottom line is, being marketable is about you. Create accomplishments and learn skills that are in demand. Be realistic about what recruiters can do to help you and what they can't. So in our next episode, we're going to discuss how you can build your own network. So if recruiters can't help you, which I'm saying most of them can't, you can become your own recruiter and do things like I do to unlock that hidden job market. So if you can't wait, get a copy of my book. There's great information about that. And finally, on the book, take a minute and go on Amazon and write a review. It's really important. That gets it out to other people because they're going to see that review and they're going to check it out. So if you do write a review, then send me an email with your address, and I will and tell me you reviewed the book, and I will I'll send you a free signed copy of my book. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter. Come on, get that social media thing going. And thanks for joining me, and have a great day.